most of the time because the days are evil. So do not be foolish, but understand the will of the Lord. Do not get drunk with wine, for that is debauchery, but be filled with the Spirit as you sing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs among yourselves, singing and making melody to the Lord in your hearts, giving thanks to God the Father at all times and for everything in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Friends, this is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. And now, Holy God, may the words of my mouth, the meditation of all our hearts be acceptable to you, our rock and our redeemer. Amen. There's a story about a proud young man who came to Socrates asking for wisdom. He walked up to the muscular philosopher and said, "Oh, great Socrates, I come to you for wisdom." Socrates recognized the pompous numbskull when he saw one. He led the young man through the streets to the sea and chest deep into water. Socrates asked, "What do you want?" "Wisdom, O wise Socrates," said the young man with a smile. Socrates put his strong hands on the man's shoulders and pushed him under. 30 seconds later, Socrates let him up. "What do you want?" he asked again. "Wisdom," the young man stuttered. "Oh, great and wise Socrates." Socrates crunched him under again. 30 seconds passed, 35, 40. Socrates let him up. The man was gasping. "What do you want, young man?" Between heavy, heaving breaths, the fellow wheezed, "Wisdom, oh wise and wonderful." Socrates jammed him down. Under 40 seconds passed, 50. "What do you want?" "Air!" The young man screeched. "I need air!" Socrates answered, "When you want wisdom, as you have just wanted air, then you will have it." Like the young man in the story, we all want wisdom. Is this something that you can just ask for? What exactly is wisdom? When preaching on such a topic, where does one even begin? Why not the internet? Wisdom and Google go hand in hand, don't they? Of the numerous definitions out there, this seems to be the most fitting. Wisdom is a noun, defined by the ability to think and act using knowledge, experience, understanding, common sense, and insight. If these 5 elements are what's needed to attain wisdom, then Solomon's request deserves a greater look. In our first Kings passage from this morning, we heard a narrative dream sequence that best portrays God as some sort of magical genie, emerging onto the scene as a deity eager to hand out a wish. On the receiving end of this wish, we find King Solomon, the son of the deceased King David and his wife Bathsheba. This isn't the first time that God has given something to someone. The Old Testament is full of stories of God bestowing gifts to the Israelites, making and keeping covenants in that involved land, nations, protection from harm, and even birth. In these giftings, the recipient usually doesn't have a say in what they receive or when they'll receive it. This is the first and only instance in our Bible where God asks someone what they would like God to give them. It begs the question, what makes Solomon so special? I mean, he's already king of Israel. He's probably the last person who needs a leg up from the Almighty. Obviously, Solomon was doing something right. He sought after God and asked what he would We're told that Solomon loved the Lord and walked in the statutes of his father David. Oh, and that he gave sacrifices and burnt offerings to gods thousands at a time. These acts of worship are what placed Solomon in God's favor. The words of Psalm 111 tell us that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. We're not talking about things that go bump in the night, that kind of fear. Rather, reverence and awe, worship and obedience. Taking this into account, Solomon is well on his way to attaining wisdom with his acts of worship and sacrifice. But notice that Solomon doesn't actually ask for wisdom. He instead asks for an understanding mind, or at least that's what our translation tells us. In the original Hebrew, Solomon literally asks for a leva shomea, a listening heart. In Hebrew, the heart is the entire being of a person, the very essence of who they are. It encompasses more than the muscle that keeps the physical body alive. Paired with the quality of listening, an individual with this kind of heart is unstoppable. For when we take the time to listen, we gain understanding and insight, two of those elements that incorporate our definition of wisdom. So let's review. Listening leads to understanding and insight, which, along with common sense, knowledge, and experience, leads to wisdom. And wisdom is necessary to be wise, which takes us to our Ephesians verse. Our passage from this morning is pretty cut and dry. Verse 15 reads, "Be careful then how you live, not as unwise people, but wise." I'm sure the church in Ephesus was right there with us saying, "Oh, is that all? Just be wise?" Of course. Thank you so very much, the author of this book. This is most certainly a place where the letter writer could have elaborated just a teeny bit more. Entertain me for a moment, friends. Building on the 1 Kings passage, let's try replacing the word wise with listen. And if unwise is the opposite of wise or listen, then why don't we read the scripture like this? Be careful then how you live, not as people who speak, but as people who listen. We might be onto something. Verse 17 is just reiterating the message in verse 15 with different words. Don't be foolish, but understand. If we're making the parallel that understanding comes from listening, then I think you know where I'm headed. No foolishness ever came from just listening. But I can guarantee you that I have spouted off many a foolish saying in my speaking. It reminds me of a line my father used to recite to me all the time. He would say, "Noha, better to remain silent and be thoughtful than to speak and remove all doubt." If the simple act of listening is the key to wisdom, then why aren't we surrounded by wise people? I mean, I know I am, but why aren't we surrounded by wise people? Or why aren't we wise people ourselves? Perhaps I should speak for myself. Speaking for myself, I can tell you that it is much harder for me to listen than it is to speak. Maybe you can resonate with that too. It takes discipline to not want to interject haphazardly when someone else is speaking, wanting to contribute to the conversation. This reminds me of my mother's favorite line. Not to be outdone by my father, her adage comes from the book of James. She would say, "Noha, be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. Could you tell that I was a talker growing up? Or parents, God bless them. Perhaps another reason why wise people are hard to come by is because when we do choose to listen, we aren't listening to God. There are a lot of voices competing for our time and attention. And unfortunately, sometimes God's still small voice is drowned out by other things that are also important and bring meaning to our lives. But in order to keep doing these things that we love, in order to give our time and talent to others, we need to be filled with God's life-giving Spirit. We need to do as the psalmist reminds us, be still and know that God is God. Listening for God and being filled by God's Spirit isn't a once and done thing. We are called to discern God's will for our lives, which means that we must constantly be willing to listen to where God is leading us. Sometimes it's as clear as a bell, coming to us in times of prayer, or in reading scripture, or in the voices of our loved ones who know us. Other times, it's not so clear. I guarantee you, God will be heard in one way or another. 2 weeks ago, Chris preached on an earlier passage in Ephesians that reads, "Lead a life worthy of your calling." I've been marinating on this short phrase as I prepared this Sunday's sermon. I believe our calling and understanding God's will for our lives go hand in hand. It takes patience and listening. We may not always get it right. Chock full of high mountaintop and low valley experiences, my journey to fulfilling my call to ministry and ordination took many unexpected turns. My plan, since before I could remember, was to serve a large, multi-staff congregation in the area of youth ministry. While I knew hospital chaplains existed, I never imagined that that's where I'd begin to feel comfortable in my call to serve God and God's people. Before moving to Huntington, West Virginia, Chris and I were both seeking calls. Newly married, we agreed that whomever got the call first, the other would follow and make do, perhaps by working for a nonprofit or finding a CPE residency or something. I guess I agreed to that because I thought I would find the call first. Chris felt called to work with college students and applied for the position here at Marshall. When we visited, I was smitten by the city and the people. But when he told me that the committee had offered him the position, and he'd really like to take the call, I cried. Mostly because I want to be the one to dictate where we were going. I'm not proud of that. Things moved quickly in the spring of 2017. We found a great apartment that we love on the south side that allowed for dogs. Our neighbors right below us had 2 golden retrievers, so everything was working out perfectly. We would take care of each other's dogs when they had to go out and we had to leave. It was amazing. Through the help of social media, we were able to make a connection that would benefit me. One of Chris's supervisors from Spartanburg, South Carolina, was now the CPE educator at a place called St. Mary's Medical Center in Presbyterian, West Virginia. And they were still looking for residents for the upcoming year. Things were working out without a hitch. Great. Friends, I kid you not. Reluctance and ambivalence aren't even close to the words that I was feeling. I was acting like a jealous toddler, choosing to see only the negative. Well, I wasn't really called to be a chaplain. And there are no open pulpits around here. And if there was, I wasn't even wanting to be a solo pastor anyway. And. ego, I failed to see how God was continually being faithful to my call to ministry. Luckily, God's pretty persistent. I finally took the time to sit down and commune with God. I realized I hadn't done that for such a long time. I opened myself up to the possibilities God was placing before me. I spoke with the folks at St. Mary's and allowed myself to get excited to serve and to learn in this way. I began to see the opportunities rather than the roadblocks. Just because it wasn't my original plan, just because it wasn't the way it was supposed to work out, didn't mean that it was wrong. Didn't mean that I wasn't called. I love it because my supervisors like to get on me and remind me of how unwilling and just stubborn I was in wanting to do this work. As if it was a favor that I was doing for them. What I find most ironic is that this talker is in a profession that values listening. When I'm with my patients, I can't take away their pain. I can't give them medicine. I can't even ensure that they've got the transport or don't need it in a different room or anything. But I can sit and listen and be there with them. It's allowed me to learn that I don't need to have all the answers. Sometimes I don't say anything, but rather just sit and be and do what I can to show them that they're not alone, to show them that they're a child of God, beloved and valued. What I've gained from my position and the morphing of my call is a wisdom that allows me to know that I don't know everything. I don't think we ever truly can. Sometimes we'll get frustrated, or we'll say the wrong thing, but the wisdom in it is to realize that we can go back. We can make right those interactions. I keep before me a quote by David Augsburg that reminds me the importance of listening and being heard. It reads, "Being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, they are almost indistinguishable." Friends, we can be that for each other. We can be the hearers, the listeners, and those who are seeking wisdom. We can be the hearers and the listeners to those who need that time to vent, who need that time to understand what they're going through in those moments. We can be the voices and interject God's calling to other people. When someone comes to you for advice, perhaps that's God working through you to lead that person on their calling, on that will for that person's life. And I pray, friends, that you are up to the challenge, that you are able to be present, to listen to our loved ones, to be wise